Hello viewers, the National Girl Child Day is celebrated every year on the 24th of January. It was first initiated in the year 2008 by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in order to spread awareness about inequalities that every girl child faces in our country, India. And to talk about it in depth, we have in our midst Ms. Yamans Im, who is the chairperson of the Meghalaya State Commission for Protection of Child's Right, and Ms. Shima Modak, the founder and president of SPARC. So hello ma'am, welcome to both of you for being here, and we are really glad so that we can talk about so many issues today relating to a girl child. So ma'am, before we start off, would you like to tell us more about the general issues that every girl child in our country or specifically in our state Meghalaya face?
Yeah, thank you, and just want to wish everybody also a happy new year. Well, in such a short space of time, we won't be able to address many of the issues.
Exactly.
But then I just want us to keep in mind that you know, we can't go into the root causes or whatever. We can only see the evidence, the inequalities that is inherent in society, and of course patriarchal values, which we will of course go to the matrilineal society a little bit later. So basically before we address any problem, we have to have an understanding about the root causes, that is the inherent vulnerabilities and inequalities that exist in a society, as well as the values, which is like male-centered. So that has defined the way that we live, our value system, our norms, you know, and expectations, and so on and so forth. So we don't have time to go into that now.
Yes.
But basically we also have to understand that there was a period of time in history when the voice of both women and children, no, they were voiceless actually, they didn't have a voice.
Exactly.
But we are happy to live in this century and time where there are protective mechanisms, you know, that give space for women as well as children to have a say, and there are interventions that has helped the girl child. So basically there are many issues, but we can kind of generalize, you know, and can relate right from the time of birth to basically, you know, the time when reproductive stages of a woman, of a girl child. So because I come from you know, basically that is the function of the State Commission, so I would like to kind of make it simpler for everybody also to maybe talk about the rights. Yes. Then in that context, and we can generalize it.
Yes.
So basically there are many rights, but it would be more ideal for us to package it in 4 main rights, and that is, one is survival and life, and then development, and then the third one would be protection and participation. So in that context we can look at the survival rate of the child, I mean the survival status of a girl child. Already she's handicapped in so many ways because there are many areas in our country and even in here in Meghalaya where there's not enough prenatal care and postnatal care. So already she's disadvantaged.
Okay.
And of course there are issues like single parent and also vulnerabilities in terms of a single mother marrying more than one partner, which gives you know, access to a lot of other kind of like predators and so on and so forth. But basically from nutrition, see what happens also, sometimes we can link it with teenage pregnancy also, because of our culture. The cultural expectation is that, you know, a girl as young as 15 is ready for marriage. And so there's a cultural expectation, and not only does it put the child at risk, but in terms of health, but a child cannot, I mean, you can't report, you can't take her to a proper care unless she registers.
Okay.
And if she marries below 18, you know, it falls under the POCSO Act. So that is like risky for a lot of people. So people don't want to, you know, take that risk of being exposed, and they're marrying their children or allowing their children through, you know, either through parents' consent or the children's. So that gives a risk to the girl child. So apart from that, very quickly, so we're talking about the survival and life and all that, but we won't have time because Shima is also there. So very quickly then I'll just say something about development. That's in terms of schooling, a lot of school dropouts, and you know, the girl child is supposed to look after her siblings. So there are many multiple kind of areas that we can discuss on that. In terms of protection, it's in terms of sexual, physical abuse and all kind of abuses and so on. And maybe we can talk about the matrilineal and how the protective mechanism is in place or not in today's world. And of course the last is participation. I just want to say something which has to be said, and that is in terms of the voice that we were talking about. We are so happy now that there are various platforms, especially like, you know, that a girl child can express herself. But mostly the fact that I feel that what we have taken away from the girl child as well as the male child is the chance to be a child, recreation, to play. And that causes other kind of issues, including mental health issues, which we're going to talk about.
Yes.
But so I won't take the time.
Yes, ma'am. Being a social worker yourself for many years now, can you just give a brief, you know, your experiences on the social aspects of a girl child?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, and it's a great platform where I can share. I've been working in this field for last 15 years, and we are totally at the grassroots, and we can see that if you talk about the problem and issues, there are innumerable.
True.
So always talking about problems, I think it will not sort the thing. Let us talk on what can we do to remove this kind of hindrances which is against the girl child. So one of the thing I'll say is empowerment. Girl empowerment is very, very important. Awareness is very important. I'm here, and I don't know how many of them will listen to me or will follow me, but I can be just a reminder. I can just give them a reminder that the girl child or woman, their contribution is immense in the society. And in a society where they uphold women, where the woman's or the girl child's participation is more, there is definitely a positive change in the society. The society will go a long run with lots of development. So woman or girl child participation is very, very important. When I started this organization, my main concept was education, I found, is the most important tool which can bring about a change in the lives.
True.
So I targeted few of the girls who are working, like those are domestic workers or might be child laborers, and they are rag pickers, and some are being abused child, but they do not know about their rights.
True.
Because there are certain corners still today in Meghalaya where they do not know, like they do have rights and all, what they are supposed to do if their rights have been violated, or if some kind of abuses are happening even within the family, they don't know what to do because they are not aware of it. So awareness has to reach each and every corner. Might be we all, a convergence is required, NGO, government, everyone. We cannot blame each other. Let's do our part and how much we can do from our side. So when I started this initiative of this education, we already have government schools, but at times it's very difficult for this working child or this abused child because there's always discrimination, and they have so many siblings that they have to take care of them. They themselves are a child, but they're taking care of other siblings and all. So I started this, if concept was, if education if children cannot go to schools, why not I bring school to their doorsteps? So whether it's a child labor, it's a domestic helper, or it's an abused child, they at least get 3 hours of education. I will not promise whether I can make them doctors, engineers, but at least a good human being, and I can at least empower them that you protect yourself. Today, girls in the slum, in the villages, they are so empowered that any such kind of social issues happening there, they are the ones who report to the SP. They have the number. So they intervene themselves. They do not wait for us because we are very far from them.
True.
Although we go constantly every 3 hours, but we have empowered them in such a way that they can lead the society. Now they have become the leaders. There has been many trafficking cases, rape cases and all. They are the ones who took the lead. And then we follow up.
Okay.
So empowerment, I think, is very, very important. And to acknowledge that women's contribution is immense. They are the backbone of the society, I must say. And in many scriptures, they say, like Dashabhuja, means they have the 10 hands, they can do multiple things. If I educate one girl child, she's going to educate the entire family, might be the entire community. So if we see at the larger perspective, a platform is very much required. I'm not there to protect them. They should be empowered to protect themselves and the coming generation. So that's what is my experience.
It's really, really important. Like when you talk about that, we need to have a platform where we can speak out things, right? So, ma'am, can you tell us about the present scenario when it comes to child's right? Since you're, you're there looking into the matter for, the last few years. Like, can you tell us what are the present scenario that we can, maybe make every child more aware about it?
I'm trying to structure in my mind because, as Shima said, just as a follow-up of what she had discussed, I think the stage one would be the identification, of these issues and problems, right, which people have been doing all over. So we need more research also on that. And of course, strategies to once you identify and also areas and localities and issues, then you strategize. Have to have specific methodologies. I'm talking from the commission and from governments and so on. And one of the things is that, of course, awareness in a lot of things. And from the commission, one of the mandate is to also create awareness or spread awareness on the POCSO Act, because a lot of, as Shima had mentioned, there's a lot of violation and sexual violence against the girl child in the rural areas and in the urban areas, irrespective of culture, race or creed or what religion or whatever. So this is something which is of serious concern, and that is one, awareness. And of course, a very key thing which has been stated over and over again is empowering the child, and mostly through education. I believe it with all my heart. That because when you educate a child, especially a girl child or even a male, you empower them to make choices and decisions about their own life, about what say, for example, marrying young, how many children to have, whether they should go to healthcare, to educate about nutrition, in so many varied ways. That is important. So I believe there are certain roles that everybody can play, not just the government or these commissions or whoever, agency. The first, of course, and which is most primary, is a family. And that is like key. Through socialization of the child, bring up just like not just values but also the ability to make choices. Decision is something that you have to teach a child early on. Sometimes I'll just give you an example. Sometimes parents, when they take a child out, whether it's a girl or a boy, they will impose their taste on the child. Why not give them teach them young to choose whether they want to wear pink or some horrible color that the parents don't like. Food, whatever it is, the small things things. So, and then also the values, like we were talking earlier that about matriliny. The emphasis on the girl child, of course, is always there, that the girl child will, especially the kado, will kind of carry over the clan, the lineage and all that. which is sometimes very demeaning, I feel. I mean, one should change that. That's why if you're educated, the parents are educated, they will see that there's value in both children. And I'm so happy that today's young parents, you know, they put emphasis and they value and they express that value also to both the girl child and the male and female child, you know. So family is a core thing. And also the fact that, as Shima was mentioned that, about the elder siblings taking care of the younger siblings, you know. And then immediately, like you kind of implant, I think, early on that I'm going to be the mother one day. So what happens is that their values also change. I've noticed that you know, when you're 14 or 15, if you notice in some villages, which like scares me, they put on lipstick, red lipstick or something like that. You know, like, okay, I'm of age, like, you know, I'm ready to mate or something, like, which is horrible. I mean, I have to say it for anybody who's listening, please don't.
No, it's
you know,
very true.
The thing is this, you see, we put a value, we put a premium on reproduction, but we take away, we forget that the child is deprived. And also education, deprived of education, deprived, and also preparing them for you know, being a homemaker one day. But then you take away, as I said, that childhood, that recreation time. But of course, sometimes it's hard. You know, it's easier to say because they are single parent. There's poverty to tackle. There's a whole lot of many children. So I think when one of the things that can empower a girl child is also to make choices like how many children can we have, because multiple children causes a strain on the health of especially young mothers and so on. You know, and I'm sorry to say, but they might not survive long also. So these are issues that they interplay with each other. That is the role. And then the government, of course, through various agencies and so on, there's intervention, the level of health and education and the rest of it, awareness and so on. These are programs. But the role of NGOs, like what Shima is doing, is like noteworthy, you know. There are child rights organizations and so on. So it's like all hands.
Yes.
You know, we have to be involved to intervene, to kind of think up ways. And some things are more specific. You know, they are general interventions, and some are specific to a particular area. For example, urban children will be a little bit more different from the rural. But because of social media now, there we go. Things have changed, and we have to reconstruct and re-strategize and so on, because kids in the rural areas also, they have access to social media. So one of the things that I was thinking about about this is this comparison, you know, like that's self-esteem, and that's why it affects like the mental health of a child also. See, for example, a child that does not have a phone. There have been cases where they've committed suicide. Or they feel so like their esteem, you know, low self-esteem, and you know, it affects mental health issues can vary in various ways. But then this access to kind of to things that you don't have, whether it's education or social media or even like such things as clothes, you know, because you're poor. These and the loneliness that children feel because they have to look after the younger siblings, you know, that sense of deprivation is more intense now. Before we accept it, but now we question. So the girl child is going through a lot in these days. Of course, Shima might want to expand on that.
So like just like you said, we have basically stereotyped every mindset, especially of a girl child, like, you know, taking care of the siblings, like we talked about, and like, you know, knowing like, okay, someday I have to be a mother as well. So we've already stereotyped, you know, the growing child, which is supposed to be playing around, and, you know, having, you know, enjoying the childhood days. So ma'am, you being a social worker and you mentioning that, you know, there are rape cases and, you know, abuses, so how do you address these issues, you know, like with these kids who don't really know what has happened to them or what wrong has been done to them? So how do you address these issues?
Yeah, first of all, I would say like girl child, like they really lose their childhood, like they don't know what a child is. They already grow up, they become so mature at that age when they are supposed to enjoy their childhood. So we ensure, like, that's the thing, the Sparks work is such, like, it's totally activity based, where we try to give at least 3 hours of childhood to them every day. Like, at least the children, we are the one, the teachers who will take care of the younger sibling. You enjoy, you play in the center. So that way we do. Otherwise, coming back to your question, yeah, initially it was so difficult because parents, there is still social stigma is there. Parents doesn't want to come up with filing of cases and all. And when we file, the family totally disappear. And when there's a case in the court, then we are at trouble, like where is the child, where is the family, who will, then the case is just end there and the child's right is violated. The child is the one who's suffering. And if we see our, although we have fast track courts and all, but still the cases go on, and these people are like daily wage earner. How long can they go to the court? Like, and there were recent, we had a 6-year-old girl child, she was raped. It was during this pandemic and all. Few days we couldn't go there, otherwise constantly we went. And it was the next door neighbor, she used to go and watch TV there, and she was raped. Like, it was a regular thing happening, but no one noticed. And since, as I said, like, we trained a group of girls there who was being empowered to know all this, they saw the child was bleeding. And that 6-year-old child, she was shy to speak out. Like, she doesn't have anything in her body, like, very, like, if you see it, she looks like 2 years old. So she was constantly being raped and all. Then in the community, we already empowered them, we already gave them, like, these are the things might happen. So they noticed, and then they came to us. Then the case was filed, and it seems it was filed on the POCSO, but I don't know how come the culprit got the bail. After that, he disappeared. The child is still suffering. Means there was no support, nothing was there. So she didn't even have a food to eat. So later we got her certain things and all, like counseling is very important and all, which is still missing. We need trained counselor more and more, like who can really go in depth and take the child out of the trauma. Because at the end of the day, like, it's the child who, any crime, it's the child who suffers, the victims. So there we really need more and more people to come in. It's a confidential thing, but their role is very, very important. We need really trained counselor. We need active social workers. Everyone has to, as I said, convergence is very much required, whether it's police department, government department, social workers, social welfare department, NGOs, corporates who can even support from the back. So all these things are very much important. Like, convergence is the only thing which can bring a change in the society.
So
this protection system is very important. And as Shima was saying, I feel like being in the field also, you know, there's such a need for like skilled people in counseling and, you know, psychologists, counselors. And because whether we like it or not, even though there are these acts and policies in place, but somewhere the delivery, there is always a catch somewhere, you know. So there's failure, I feel, in the system sometimes because of delay at the courts. Let me be frank about that, because of I think there are multiple factors, of course. Sometimes it's too far away for somebody to come, so somebody comes, somebody's appear, the other person doesn't appear. So as the saying, we always say that justice delayed is always like almost like justice denied, you know. So there are, this is something that one should address very carefully, especially in those who can make decisions regarding that, because of that fact of when as it starts with observance and reporting. So these days they say that, you know, like the percentage of cases and all have increased, but it can be due also to the fact that there are more awareness programs, and so there is more reporting. Because earlier people will just hide it as like family issues and family honor and all that.
Stigmatization of the society,
very much
all of that.
Still
so the girl child ultimately suffers, whether it's been ignored or even if she goes to court, she's traumatized again.
Exactly. And then again,
so,
another issue
that's
of
a whole
going through mentally, you know, all of that.
It's not only with the families who are below poverty line. I even know some family who's like very well-to-do. They are my students and all, but they're also within their family, it's happening.
At all levels.
It's happening.
Yeah. So I wish we could talk about many more things in depth, but since we are running out of time, let us, since we've you know, tried to address a few issues, can you just briefly tell us maybe the positive things that have come up in the, you know, the present times? of today, you know, a girl being educated, a girl knowing her rights. Maybe a few little things that maybe, you know, you've noticed as the chairperson of the commission.
I can just give you one illustration, I think, which kind of embodies that. I remember we went once to one awareness program. I'll never forget that little girl. She came up afterwards. She was very vocal and so on, but then when she came, "Can I speak to you?" And I said, "Of course." Then she said, "You know, ma'am, I was like," she didn't know the words, but now she said, "I never knew that I had been molested."
Oh,
but we had gone for the awareness program. She said, "Now I know that this was like the unsafe touch." Of course, there are NGOs and there are people, you know, going giving awareness programs on safe and unsafe touch and so on. But sometimes kids, they don't know like what has happened to them. So the fact that we empower a child. So this little girl, she said that, and then you know, we talked about like going to the proper procedure court and all that. And I said, "Are you willing to do that?" To ask her, no? She said, "Of course." Then if I am able to have the courage to say that, maybe it will help some other child to come out.
Oh, that is
so you see, it's child empowering another child. That is also a powerful thing to look at. And so when there's more awareness and you know, people are talking about it, it comes from the shadows, out of the shadows and in taboo areas, then people can address it as what it is. Then some help can be given, you know. Then as Shima was saying, also there's a convergence of these intervention kind of you know, agencies and so on. So we have to work at all levels. So yeah, because we don't have time to talk about other things. But
ma'am, would you like to say something?
Yeah.
Before we
If I look, because I love to say more on the positive side, because I've seen the girls how from scrap they have come up to such a level. Now girls are going to schools. Before in that slum and all, they were all with the rag bags. Now they are all with the school bags. So that's like the development is there. Then a child who was a domestic worker, she was trained in taekwondo and she went for the national game and she got the gold. So such talents are there. They are making animation and it has been selected in the Chicago International Film Festival. There have been girls who are singing, like their talents are lots. They are the one who is controlling the society now. They are giving the awareness. They are the leaders now.
They just need a platform.
Yeah, means if you give them a platform, they can do wonders that I have seen. Like, and recently we have taken them for a trip to Calcutta. It was just a thought which turned into a dream. Then it got a wings, and then several people came together and we took around 35 children for the first time from slum and from the remote villages who has never gone, even never seen Shillong itself. They have gone to Calcutta, and if you see their talents, the way they presented themselves, like no one was able to recognize whether they were from villages or they were from slums and all. And we had a one-day program at Meghalaya House, and within 5 minutes they prepared themselves in such a way with the skit, with the dance, with the song. Like, it was wonderful to see. Like, I will remember that trip for a lifetime. Like, they can do wonders. They just need a platform and empowerment. They are no less than anyone else. They just need a platform, and as ma'am also said, empowerment is very, very important. They should know their rights. At the same time, they should also know their duties also. So both should go in balance. So it will be wonder. And before, like, just last line I want to say, like, before I close my eyes, I just want to see all the children with the sparkling light, who will take the next lead to bring about a positive change. Changes are really very, very important, and we need to accept it. It's a positive change. So instead of resisting, we should accept the change, and then wonders will definitely happen.
And just one word before you go. I just want to, you know, to congratulate people like Shima. Not that it's like and people like everybody else. Like, there should be more from the society itself, you know, who have a heart like this. And these seeds can be multiplied and create that change. So
thank you.
We're grateful to have, you know, people in the field.
So, on behalf of the DDK crew, we would like to say a very big thank you for enlightening us with, you know, your experiences, your views, your thoughts about today's program.
Thank you.
So we wish you all the best for
Thank you
all
so
your
much.
future endeavors, and we hope we can, have another discussion, maybe more
Yeah.
in depth and in detail. So I would like to say thank you once again for your precious time and
thank
for
you so
being here
much.
with us in our
Thank
studio.
you.
So, well, viewers, we say that we are an independent India. Our country achieved independence since 1947, but are we really independent? We still see a lot of crimes, a lot of inequality happening in the society, especially when it comes to a girl child. Can we not make a change today by starting with ourselves? Let us put a change and let us keep a stop to all the inequalities happening in our society. Let us start with ourselves. Well, viewers, with that, we come to an end of today's edition. Thank you for watching. Take care.